Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 61 based on novel. So let's start. Lin Dong's body flashed past at lightning speed, turning a flash of green light as it followed a mountain path and directly rushed towards the peak. Immeasurable Mountain had 10 peaks. Every peak had 3 paths to the mountaintop. An intense battle was unavoidable if one wished to reach the peak through one of these 3 paths. Lin Dong dashed through the densely packed branches and leaves on the path up the mountain, like an agile monkey. Soon after, he lifted his head and saw several figures with powerful auras nearby. This group of experts who were rushing up the mountain also detected Lin Dong, who was rapidly approaching from behind. Kai Kai. Green light flashed within Lin Dong's eyes. He clenched his hand and the lightning emperor scepter appeared. A lightning glow danced crazily as numerous bolts of lightning spread. Boom! Astonishing thunder resounded on the mountain path. Lightning flashed and a thin figure barbarically charged through the many obstructions in front of him. The entire place turned into a mess wherever his body passed. Lin Dong pushed the Yuan power within his body to the limit. He understood that he must use his fastest speed to reach the peak in order to obtain the mountain seal and receive one of the 10 places to contend for the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. This mountain path had undoubtedly become quite chaotic in the face of Lin Dong's barbaric manner. In the end, many experts actually attacked together, but they were still unable to block this wild beast like Lin Dong. A green ray of light dashed towards the peak at a shocking speed amidst loud rumbling noises. This bastard. He is just like a wild beast. Damn it, I have not even attacked, yet I end up suffering a kick from him. My face suffered a strike from him and even my nose has collapsed. Damn it, why don't we kill him together? This fellow is likely the strongest on this mountain path, right? How unlucky. We are actually on this path with him. That is not necessarily true. Wasn't there another bastard who charged past earlier? These 2 bastards. That Chin Yuan? I wonder just who is stronger when these 2 barbaric beasts clash. That green light shot forward as curses flew from behind. However, many people had helplessly given up at this moment. With Lin Dong present, they would likely be unable to reach the peak. Swoosh! Lin Dong completely ignored the curses from behind as his body flashed past with lightning speed. A long while later, he lifted his head to look at the peak, which was growing increasingly close as excitement rose in his eyes. He knew that there would similarly be other experts who had also taken the lead on the 2 other paths. Halt! Only I can take this mountain path. While these thoughts flashed in Lin Dong's mind, a thunderous roar was suddenly heard. Subsequently, a huge figure charged forward as a wave of powerful force blasted Lin Dong. Bang! Even before the force made contact with Lin Dong, the ground below crumbled as numerous cracks swiftly spread. Humph! This suddenly domineering attack caused a cold light to appear within Lin Dong's eyes. He tightly grasped the lightning emperor scepter but did not dodge. The scepter was swung and it powerfully clashed against the domineering force. Dong! A deafening sound echoed as wind swept outwards like a storm, flattening the dense forest below. Lin Dong's shoulders jerked as devouring power surged within his body and quickly eliminated the force that had invaded his body. Next, he lifted his head only to find the strong figure being pushed back. Finally, a foot stamped on a boulder which was turned into dust in an instant. What great strength! The sturdy figure stabilized his body as his expression changed. At this moment, Lin Dong was finally able to see that the person who had arrived had a bare upper body. His muscles seemed to pile up like swelling metal while power rippled under his skin. He wielded a metal hammer that was dozens of feet in size. This image was extremely stimulating to the eye. 6th on the rookie list, giant spirit hammer Chin Yuan. Lin Dong's eyes slightly narrowed as he gazed at the large metal tower-like man. He had recognized this person in a glance. No wonder this person had such ferocious strength. The latter was definitely not an ordinary individual. Are you that Lin Dong? The huge metal tower-like man looked at Lin Dong as his expression slightly altered. Clearly, this person had also heard of Lin Dong. "Friend, is it possible for you to give way?" Lin Dong asked in a deep voice. He did not have the time to deal with this person. Won't I lose my chance if I let you pass?" Chin Yuan's mouth parted as he chuckled. He swung the massive metal hammer in his hand. "You should ask this metal hammer of mine if you wish to pass. Don't think I do not dare to touch you just because that little Miss Tang Xinlian is backing you. In that case, I will have to be a little impolite." A smile surfaced from the corners of Lin Dong's mouth as he slowly increased the strength of his grip on the lightning emperor scepter. "Try me." Chin Yuan's voice was as loud as a bell as the metal hammer in his hands danced. Even the air itself exploded because of the swinging hammer. Bright green light frantically swept out from within Lin Dong's body. Many green dragon-like tattoos rapidly rose along with a dragon roar. 1, 5, 10, 20, 30. A total of 30 green dragon-like tattoos lingered around Lin Dong's body as a deep dragon roar spread. Even the air itself trembled at this moment, while a terrifying energy ripple slowly scattered. Chin Yuan looked at the 30 green dragon-like tattoos around Lin Dong's body. His expression had finally become grave. Only at this moment did he understand that this Lin Dong did indeed possess a rather powerful strength that backed the swift rise of his reputation within the chaotic demon sea. "I will finish you off in a single strike." A green dragon was entrenched deep within Lin Dong's eyes. He heartily laughed at the sky as his heroic spirit dashed into the clouds while his body, which was accompanied by 30 green dragon-like tattoos, swiftly shot towards Chin Yuan. "I shall see whether you have the ability to do so." Chin Yuan laughed in anger. Majestic Yuan power was unleashed to its limit at this moment, before he took a step forward. Raising the metal hammer with both hands, it came crashing down furiously like a god. Giant Spirit Sky Hammer. 1,000 feet large light hammer violently struck. After which, it was accompanied by a horrifying strength as it blasted the sky. In the end, it ruthlessly clashed with Lin Dong, who was charging forward, under several shocked gazes. Roar! A dragon roar and a loud sound spread in a deafening fashion. Everyone could feel this mountain shake violently as the two forces collided, while many huge cracks spread rapidly like a spider web. Behind them, many pairs of eyes were focused on the point of collision where green light suddenly shot towards the sky. Soon after, they were stunned to see that the 1,000 feet large light hammer was actually blown away. Crack! The light hammer finally exploded and a black metal hammer powerlessly flew backwards. It smashed heavily onto the ground, causing the land to shake. Grug! Chin Yuan's body seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. A mouthful of blood was spat out as he shot backwards in a miserable fashion, causing a deep pit to be formed on the ground. "Thank you for giving me this victory." Green light flickered in the sky as Lin Dong flashed and appeared while holding the lightning emperor scepter. He looked at the miserable Chin Yuan below and smiled faintly. Without further ado, his body moved and he charged towards the peak, leaving behind a series of gasps. Who could imagine that the 6th on the rookie list would actually be defeated by Lin Dong in a single move? Is this his true strength? Several people faced each other. They could see shocked expressions in the other party's eyes. The only ones on the rookie list who could do this were likely only those top 3 ferocious people. However, it seemed that another one of them had appeared. Lin Dong did not have the time to bother about those shocked gazes behind him. He raised his speed to the limit. Finally, his toes pressed against the ground as he soared upwards, shooting towards the mountain peak. Bang! However, just as Lin Dong was about to reach the peak, a low and muffled sound was transmitted into his ear. A miserable figure shot towards him from nearby. In the end, it smeared across the ground, forming a deep scar, before it stopped in front of Lin Dong. Cough! That miserable figure violently coughed, spitting out fresh blood. His appearance was exceptionally miserable. Qingteng? Lin Dong gazed at this miserable figure and was startled. Soon after, a solemn expression rose in his eyes. This was because this person was the rookie list's 4th-ranked Qingteng. Just which powerful individual was actually able to injure Qingteng to such an extent? Lin Dong lifted his head and looked towards another path that led to the peak. Subsequently, his eyes focused on a bare-armed person whose body was wrapped in a blood-red light. There was a thickly evil aura in his eyes. This person was actually Sholi from the Blood Demon Shark clan. To think that you are able to come to this place. It seems that you do have some ability. When Sholi saw Lin Dong, he was initially startled before his mouth quickly parted into a smile. The smile was extremely sinister. However, your journey stops here. A bloodlight undulated on Sholi's body and it was filled with a rich and bloody scent. At the moment, with a wicked smile on his face, he was staring at Lin Dong, who had just ascended to the peak. Meanwhile, the red glow in his eyes were filled with brutality. Towards someone who dared to attack them previously, he clearly possessed murderous intent towards him. Lin Dong also frowned slightly when he saw Sholi, whose body was wrapped with a blood glow. He did not expect that this person would actually choose this peak as well. Moreover, even Qingteng was defeated by him. Lin Dong was aware of how powerful Qingteng was. Additionally, the latter was extremely quick. Based on Lin Dong's estimates, Qingteng would definitely be able to obtain one of the 10 positions, if no accidents occurred. However, Qingteng's journey to the peak came to an end because of Sholi's presence. The fact that he could defeat Qingteng proved how powerful Sholi was. A member of the Blood Demon Shark clan, he indeed lived up to his reputation. Are you all right? Lin Dong lowered his head and asked Qingteng. Cough. Qingteng forcefully picked himself up from the ground. Wiping off the trace of blood on the corner of his lips, he looked at Lin Dong, who had hurried over. His expression was a little complicated as he shook his head and said, "There is something wrong with this fellow. Originally, we were quite evenly matched. However, his strength suddenly soared. Ignorant fool. This is my Blood Demon Shark clan's secret technique. It vaporizes the blood in my body to boost my strength. Although there are some long-term effects, it will be fine as long as I kill the both of you and absorb the essence blood in your bodies." Sholi parted his mouth into a smile. His teeth gritted together and emitted a frightening cold glint. Sholi twisted his neck. His bones emitted a clear cracking sound as he extended his finger and curled it towards Lin Dong. "Little fellow, didn't you act in a very arrogant fashion previously? Why don't you come and give it a try now?" His head turned towards another peak after his words sounded. He laughed in a strange fashion. It is likely that Sholing has also clashed with that little girl from the immortal Sage Whale clan by now. That little girl should wound up in a rather miserable state. A sharp cold glint flashed across Lin Dong's narrowed eyes after he heard this. He spoke softly, "You will be disappointed by the results." The young lady called Sholing was indeed quite powerful. In fact, it was likely that she possessed the qualifications to enter the top 10 of the rookie list. However, Mu Lingshan was not some soft persimmon either, and even Lin Dong was unable to fully decipher the secrets within that little girl. Therefore, he did not believe that Sholing could easily defeat Mu Lingshan in a real fight. "Is that so?" Sholi curled his mouth in disdain. He waved his hand and said, "Forget it, let's not talk about them. I want to claim your puny little life first. If that little girl managed to survive, I will throw your corpse at her. It is likely that her expression will be quite pleasant to look at. Brother Qingteng, why don't you hand this opponent over to me?" Lin Dong softly said to Qingteng. "I have already lost. Naturally, you will have to do the fighting. Be careful." Qingteng nodded with a bitter smile. A ferocious expression flashed across his eyes as he spoke in a dense voice, "Cripple this bastard. That is my plan." Lin Dong smiled at Qingteng. His hand slowly tightened the grip on his lightning emperor scepter. Lightning light came pouring down a little at a time as a sizzling sound burst continuously. "Two homeless strays. None of you shall escape." Sholi laughed in a dense manner. Red light suddenly surged within his eyes. He clenched his hand and it was possible to see a red-colored scale appeared on the surface of his body. Both his hands were curled before they transformed into two ferocious blood-bone blades. A cold light flowed over his bone blades and the space itself seemed to stir slightly. Swoosh! Sholi was currently like a monster covered in scales. His scarlet eyes stared straight at Lin Dong. Suddenly, after releasing a strange laughter, his body flashed before a red beam cut through the air and shot straight towards Lin Dong. Swish swish! Blood-red blade lights directly tore through the air at this moment. It pierced towards Lin Dong's throat with an indescribable speed. Lightning glow surged on the Lightning Emperor scepter. It quickly transformed into countless shadows that shot forward and ruthlessly struck precisely onto the point where the two blade glows intersected. Clang! Metallic sound appeared before wild and violent gusts swept forward. The huge stones on the surrounding ground were struck by it and exploded into dust. Swoosh swoosh swoosh! Wild gales swept forth before a bloody light figure appeared behind Lin Dong in an instant. Sharp teeth rip! Bloodlight spluttered forth like a thunderstorm. Every ray of bloodlight transformed into an extremely sharp shark tooth that was filled with a shocking sharpness. In fact, it was so sharp that even an advanced profound life stage expert had difficulty guarding against it. Sholi was no kind-hearted individual and his attacks were merciless. Clearly, he was intending to kill them. Lightning barrier. Lin Dong's eyes sunk as he detected the shocking sharp wind from behind. Suddenly, he slammed the Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand heavily onto the ground. Soon after, bright lightning spread crazily before they transformed into a lightning barrier that protected him. Bang bang bang. The bloodlight ruthlessly smashed against the lightning barrier and a shocking thunder spread. Although such an attack caused countless ripples to appear on the lightning barrier, it was ultimately unable to break the barrier. Evidently, Lin Dong's offense and defense grew closer to perfection after he obtained the Lightning Emperor scepter. Ripples spread across the lightning barrier. At a certain moment, a cold glint flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. The Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand suddenly shot forward. It was like a lightning that tore through the night sky as it penetrated the lightning barrier and the countless bloody light attacks. Finally, it struck heavily against the phantom-like figure behind. Boom! A muffled thunder spread and the figure trembled intensely. The attacks in the sky disappeared as a figure took a couple of steps back. There was a lightning occasionally flashing over the body covered in blood light. A decent offense and defense, Sholi smiled ferociously. He rubbed his chest, which had been struck by Lin Dong's Lightning Emperor scepter. That spot had turned charred back. However, after he wiped that spot with his hand, the charred spot disappeared. Instead, the blood-colored scales under it were emitting a firm and indestructible aura. Even though your scepter is quite powerful, it is unable to break my demon shark scale skin. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he looked at the strange layer of scale on Sholi's body. A blood-red light continuously flickered mysteriously. At the moment of contact previously, Lin Dong could clearly sense that the enormous strength transferred onto Sholi's body had been scattered and broken down by the layer of scale skin. That object was quite mysterious indeed. Lin Dong, that Sholi's scale skin is a secret technique of the Blood Demon Shark clan. It is not a martial arts. Instead, it is formed from hundreds of millions of blood demon shark ants. Those ants are able to devour various kinds of energy and it is extremely difficult to break through. Ching behind cried out. Previously, he had suffered tremendously because of this. That scale skin is actually a living creature? Lin Dong was secretly startled. No wonder he felt that this scale skin was exceptionally strange. It was actually made by gathering those so-called blood demon shark ants together. Your attacks are useless against me. However, my attacks can claim your puny lives. Sholi laughed towards the sky. His body once again shot out before a sharp attack was unleashed, surrounding Lin Dong in the process. How can mediocre humans like you compare with members of my blood demon shark clan? Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent. He ignored Sholi's arrogant laughter as he also rushed forward and dodged Sholi's attack. The Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand drew a strange arc and once again smashed towards Sholi. Like I said, you are unable to hurt me as long as I have my demon shark scale skin. Sholi mocked upon seeing this. The force behind the scepter in Lin Dong's hand did not diminish. A cold smile was lifted on his face just as his scepter was about to strike onto Sholi's body. In that case, all I need to do is to break your shark skin. With your strength? Sholi ridiculed. Lin Dong's eyes were icy cold. A thought passed through his mind. One could see a strange palm-sized light formation suddenly appearing on the tip of the lightning emperor scepter. The formation rotated before a strange force suddenly erupted. Kai Kai? A mysterious ray of light shot out from the light formation and struck against Sholi's chest. After the light ray reached its target, one could see the demon shark scale skin on Sholi's body emitting a miserable screech. Under the illumination from that ray of light, a fist-sized hole actually appeared on that tough and seemingly indestructible scale skin. In fact, it looked as though the scale skin was disintegrating. Without your scales, what are you? Lin Dong stared at a Sholi, whose expression was drastically changing before he parted his lips and smiled. Promptly, with a jerk of his arm, green dragon light symbols emerged. Following which, together with a wild and violent force, the lightning emperor scepter in his hands ruthlessly struck on the hole that was eroded on the demon shark scale skin. Bang! A deafening low sound reverberated across the mountaintop. Sholi's body flew backwards. After which, he spat out a mouthful of blood and landed heavily onto the ground. His body left a 100-meter-long deep ditch on the ground before it was implanted between a huge rock. His appearance was exceptionally tragic. Rock fragments flew while Sholi's body was firmly embedded in a huge rock. Cough! A mouthful of blood was spat out. At this moment, rich disbelief was present on Sholi's face. He lowered his head and looked at the wound on his chest, before his body involuntarily trembled. He was clearly aware just how powerful his demon shark scale skin was. In fact, even Qingtang's all-out attack was unable to break it. Yet, it was easily broken by Lin Dong, who was merely at perfect profound life stage. How is this possible? Sholi muttered. His face quickly became somewhat distorted. You trash, how is it possible that you can break my demon shark scale skin? Sholi suddenly lifted his head. His eyes were incomparably vicious as he glared at Lin Dong, while a scream was unleashed from his mouth. Swish! However, a phantom-like figure appeared in front of him in a flash, as his cry sounded. A scepter figure accompanied by an extremely violent wind unhesitatingly struck towards his throat. The wind was filled with icy cold murderous intent. It was this murderous intent that caused Sholi's forehead to be quickly covered by cold perspiration. Only at this moment did he realize that Lin Dong was genuinely planning on killing him. Bastard! Sholi clenched his teeth. He hurriedly crossed his hands in front of him in a defensive fashion. Following which, the Yuan power within his body surged out like floodwater. Bang! The lightning emperor scepter ruthlessly smashed against Sholi's arms. At the same time, the palm-sized light formation on the tip of the scepter flicked. Another strange light beam shot out. Soon after, the demon shark scale skin on Sholi's arm quickly melted away like snow facing a raging flame. Damn it! Sholi's expression changed drastically as the demon shark scale skin on his arms melted away. However, a curse had only just escaped from his mouth when a massive force gushed against his arms like a volcano. It directly shattered the huge rock behind him while his body was also thrown back by another few thousand feet. However, before Sholi's could stabilize his body, Lin Dong once again appeared in front of him in a phantom-like fashion. Meanwhile, the lightning emperor scepter in his hand had turned into countless shadows that surrounded the sky. Following which, all these shadows mercilessly rained down on an ashen-looking Sholi. Bang 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 bang. Low and deep deafening sound reverberated over the air like firecrackers. Many sharp scepter shadows exploded on Sholi's body with a terrifying force. Meanwhile, the latter also quickly fell from the sky. When Qingtang saw Sholi, who was unable to put up an ounce of resistance in the face of Lin Dong's violent attacks, he was momentarily stunned. Only having fought with Sholi personally, did he understand the terrifying endurance and defense that the latter possessed. Yet, this person in front of him was about to be turned into a dead stray. Right now, there were other experts climbing up this peak. However, after they climbed up, their faces became distorted when they saw Sholi being blasted by Lindong and falling to the ground. Lindong's violent temper really caused one's heart to shudder. Get lost! Lindong's eyes were cold and sharp like blades. His hand gripped his lightning emperor scepter tightly. Next, he swung it down furiously and struck heavily onto the arm of a blood-covered Sholi. Crack! The sound of bone cracking stealthily spread before Sholi spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. With a face plastered with fear, he stared at a murderous man, who was holding his lightning emperor scepter and walking over. Finally, horror began to surge on his dark and solemn face. Immediately, he quickly clenched his fist and shattered the spirit seal in his hand. The space around Sholi began to distort after he shattered his spirit seal. Subsequently, the space was just like a huge mouth as it swallowed the extremely miserable-looking, blood-covered Sholi. Lindong, I will not let you off. An extremely sharp roar was emitted from the point where Sholi had disappeared before it resounded across the entire mountain. Though his roar was filled with fury, it was possible to identify some fear within. Clearly, Lindong's extremely violent attacks had left a mark within the heart of this expert from the Blood Demon Shark clan. Kai? Lindong stared at a disappearing Sholi before he curled his lips. Promptly, he loosened the grip on his lightning emperor scepter. That fellow's so-called demon shark scale skin was indeed unique. It was likely that it will require at least an attack from an advanced profound death stage expert in order to break his defenses. If it was not because Lindong's ancient universe formation possessed a disintegrating ability, it was likely that he would not be able to easily defeat Sholi. At this moment, some other figures beside Qingting had also appeared on this peak. However, none of them dared to attack after they spotted Lindong hovering in mid-air. Lindong lowered his head. His eyes looked at everyone on the peak. Waving the lightning emperor scepter in his hand, he asked with a smile, "Is there anyone else who wants a fight?" Everyone below exchanged glances with each other and shook their heads. What a joke. This person was just like a murderous god at the moment, and who would dare to fight with him? You win. This peak's mountain seal belongs to you. Qingting laughed bitterly and sighed. At this moment, he had no choice but to admit that Lindong indeed possessed strength and qualifications that far surpassed them. Thank you. Lindong smiled and unceremoniously accepted his victory. Lifting his head, he looked at the top of this mountain. A light seal was slowly rotating at that spot. Once he obtained it, he would have the qualifications to fight for the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. Lindong moved. He directly penetrated through the clouds and appeared at the peak. Subsequently, he grabbed the mountain seal in his hand. Following which, Lindong could sense the surrounding clouds becoming increasingly dense after the mountain seal entered his hand. A light ripple spread from under his feet like a circular wave. Lindong raised his head. Currently, he had reached the highest point in this realm. His sight penetrated through the cloud and he was even able to see the boundaries of the vast forest. A dense light pillar shot from the seal in Lindong's hand towards the sky. Light pillar covered his body, giving it a glaring appearance. Lindong looked at the light pillar around him. Subsequently, his eyes looked into the distance. Amidst the dense clouds, there were 9 other mountain peaks that were still being covered. Swoosh! However, this did not continue on for long. Many bright light pillars suddenly shot towards the sky. Soon after, the dense cloud scattered and many figures with powerful auras began to slowly emerge. Lindong's eyes narrowed as he looked at the figures within those light pillars. His fist involuntarily clenched tightly. Lindong's vision became increasingly clear. Soon after, 2 most eye-catching figures were the first to appear within Lindong's sight. One of them was completely decked out in black. He wore a smile on his face that caused one to tremble. It was Hua Chen. On the peak to the left of Hua Chen, a black-robed man was leaning on a stone wall. His hat and veil were lifted as a breeze blew over, revealing a strange face that was covered with bandages. Faceless person. Shu Xiu. Lindong stared at these 2 individuals before a sharp expression suddenly appeared in his eyes. The 2 of them had indeed successfully arrived here. The two of them, it's time for them to show up. Lin Dong inhaled a deep breath of air. After which, he turned his head to look at two other peaks. Subsequently, two familiar figures began to show up. A fiery red-haired figure and a blue figure, they were Tang Xinlian and Zhu Zi. Light pillars also shot up from the other four peaks. One of them was also a familiar face. He was the fifth-ranked individual on the rookie list, Teng Kuei, who was quite powerful as well. Being able to secure a mountain seal was only expected. The other three individuals, however, were somewhat foreign faces. However, all of them had powerful auras. Clearly, they were the dark horses that had emerged during the competition. After they appeared on the mountaintop, Tang Xinlian and Zhu Zi quickly scanned their surroundings. Soon after, they glanced at Lin Dong before finally focusing their attention on Hua Chen and Xu Xiu. Both of them knew that these two people were going to be their most troublesome opponents during the competition. There is one more peak. Lin Dong suddenly looked at the final peak as a light pillar rose from it. After which, a delicate small figure clearly appeared from within the light pillar. Bang! The large coffin cover held by that small and delicate fight was heavily thrusted into the mountain peak. Meanwhile, her exquisite small face revealed a brilliant smile towards Lin Dong. At this moment, Mu Lingshan's clothes appeared slightly tattered. Clearly, she had experienced a bitter battle previously. However, Lin Dong was somewhat surprised when he realized that Mu Lingshan's aura seemed to be much stronger when compared to before. That little lass has actually broken through to the profound death stage. This little lass is truly full of surprises. Lin Dong laughed softly. Only then did the worry in his heart completely disappear. It seems like there was really no need for him to fret over Mu Lingshan. Next, the main event shall begin. Lin Dong's attention once again turned towards the two dark figures in the distance. Like a lightning dragon, a lightning glow slowly gathered deep within his eyes. This video will end here.